Welcome to the Land Investing Business Secret Podcast, where each short episode we talk about the strategies, experiences, and the tools to help you launch, grow, and scale your land business. Learn how to find freedom within your own business, find out ways to build consistency in your processes, and hear how other everyday land investors are winning so you can get to the next step closer to building your dream life through your land business. And I'm your host of the Land Investing Business Secrets Podcast by Pebble, Jesse Kwong. Hey, how's it going? It's Jesse here from the Land Investing Business Secrets. This episode is literally like a head explosion of information. If you're hearing this right now, you better make sure you stick around because I've got Ray here. He's coming on here to really talk about what he's doing. And it's pretty unbelievable. I actually say that to him on this show, but it's awesome to see how well he's doing. And you will literally get actionable things out of this episode. So do not miss it. We get to chat all sorts of things. Anyways, this show is brought to you by Pebble. If you are looking to systemize, get everything in order, actually organize, and treat your land investing business like a business from the get-go. And we are seeing this more and more needed as we've gotten away with a lot these last few years in land. We didn't really need to treat things like a business. Now that competition has spiffied up, the market has changed, things like follow-up, things like tracking your leads, things like pulling up your property documents and saving time as we're trying to run a side hustle at the end of the day, you'll see how much hours and time you're saving by using a system like Pebble. Head over to pebblerei.com. Make sure you hit the book a demo button on the top right corner there. Jump on a call with me and we can sort of see if this is even a good fit for you. Other than that, guys, you're going to love this episode. I did. I certainly did. I learned tons. So here it is. Cheers. Hey, how's it going? It's Jesse here from the Land Investing Business Secret Podcast here by Pebble. I've got a really cool guest here, Ray Zhang. How are you doing?
Good. How are you, Jesse? It's a pleasure to be here.
Good. Yeah. I appreciate you coming on. And well, let's just start with the conversation. Tell me about you. How did you get into land investing?
I started to do land after I tried everything, house flip and virtual wholesaling houses, apartment investing. And after 6 years in, I was like, nothing really worked. So I tried to do something else, which is I stumbled onto land investing. That works for me very well because I was in Hawaii. I do this virtually in the mainland United States.
So, wow. So you were living in Hawaii and doing that on the mainland from Hawaii.
Correct. Yes.
I love that. So if you didn't know, both me and my partners are also remotely running our land business. I'm up here in Canada and he's all the way in Seoul, South Korea. So it's great to see people are doing this literally virtually, right? So remotely from everywhere. Now, I have an interesting question to ask you. You mentioned you gave housing, fix and flips, wholesaling a try. You said you wholesale as well, right?
Correct.
What was that process like? And, because I only asked this question because a lot of people go through that same thing. I included myself as well. I went through a number of failed projects and sort of got shammed along the way. But so tell me, what was that like? What did you try and what was the struggle like?
The struggle was mainly a geography problem because I was in Hawaii and I tried to do the wholesaling houses. It's hard there. And maybe you can get a deal once in a while, but it's just hard to do this on a regular basis. And as a newbie, you want to build some sort of confidence, right? So I was really discouraged and trying a lot of different strategy. And then I was like, okay, wholesaling houses locally won't work. Let me try virtual wholesaling houses. So that's even harder. And virtual wholesaling houses is nearly impossible. And there are people doing that for sure, but it wasn't really for me. So, it was hard.
Yeah. I get you. So how long were you in Hawaii for?
I was there for 8 years.
Oh my gosh. And now you're in Florida, is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Right on. Okay, so you like the warm weather. I get it. Up here in Canada, freezing, and we're recording this during the snow season up here. But anyway, so tell me a little bit about land. So how long have you been doing land for now?
About 4 years so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna jump right into things. Ray, what is
Sure.
your secret sauce? I recently saw how you were performing with your land business. What are you exactly? Well, why don't you tell us sort of how you approach land and what you're doing with land right now?
So at the beginning, I do things very different than what I'm doing right now. So at the beginning, I just try to wholesaling in the areas that are very cheap. For example, I buy land for $1,000, and the next day I sell them for 2,500. Right. So that's a nice return and nice margin, but it wasn't very good for me. After I've done almost 200 deals in my first 2 years, I was just tired of it, and the third year didn't perform that much, and but I made a decision. I try to be the land guy, right? So I contact a lot of people, and people refer me, and I came across this military. He don't want me to disclose his name, but he taught me everything about what I'm doing right now. So, which basically you do only land flip in the major markets, but not inside. It's kind of like a donut strategy, right? You go surrounding the major markets. So infill lots, major markets. That's what I do right now. Our profit this year is almost 900,000. So
Oh my gosh,
yeah,
incredible! 900,000. And how big is your team, Ray?
I have a big team. I have only one member, and I pay him $1, $2 an hour.
Oh
So
my gosh! Oh my gosh! So what does your
yeah.
team member do for you, Ray?
Yeah, he just find markets for me and sometimes do the offer, and I really enjoy talking to people. And when the offer comes back, I'll call them. And so the offer already low enough, but we try to negotiate again. So it's a double kill, right? So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Um, let's back it up a moment here. You sort of talk about this donut strategy. So
Mhm.
you look at markets in sort of a major market, did you say? And then you look at the surrounding area. So you've avoided all um, recreational use land or vacant rural land. You're looking at areas surrounding a major market. Is that right?
Correct. Infill lots, and people can build a house on there.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're specifically focusing on infill lots. Now, there's a lot of worry right now with infill lots. Are people actually building with what's going on in the economy? How do you sort of feel about that right now? I
So
mean, you've
our
obviously done
yeah.
well this past year, so
Yeah. So our strategy is based on purely sold. So everything is about sold. So when we find a realtor, we want to see how many properties he has sold, right? So we want to find a market. We want to find areas that has sold activities in the last 3 months. Of course, you cannot change the economy. If let's say the economy hits with a recession, what do you do, right? So there's still areas that can buy and sell land. There's areas that can sold land, and I'll go to those areas, and based on that sold price, I offer a percentage. So it's kind of recession proof because they already have a proof of concept.
mm,
I never guess anything. I mean, everything is based on sold. So if there is a sold in that subdivision, I will go into that subdivision. If that another subdivision don't have any sold, even it's next to the ones that has sold, I don't go into that subdivision. So I just have to be really detailed to go to each market. So
so you're looking at markets. So you have a guy that helps you look at markets, and I'm sure you have a criteria that you go through.
right.
And are you going through tools like Zillow and you're actually checking out the area itself?
Absolutely. So on Zillow, there's a method. On Redfin, there's another method. So basically, on Zillow, we check last 3 months sold and land only. We want to see around that major markets where those yellow dots, the
Hmm.
sold comps, where those yellow dots concentrates. So that's a market we want to go into. And we only limit that time frame to 3 months, no more than 6 months. 6 months can change a lot of things, right? So that's how we do it.
Got you. So, I guess you're also hopping around different counties with really no hesitation because you're looking at data at this point.
Mm,
A lot of people I find stick to a county, and especially when they're starting out, and they've been told that, hey, you need to find success in this county first before you move on to a different county.
Mm.
What do you have to say to that, since you're one that sort of hops around then?
If you're a completely newbie, I would suggest to do that exact thing. But what I would suggest more is try to get to massive different counties later on after you have success. You know, you kind of build the confidence. Oh, this thing works, right? So you kind of take the whole same system to multiple markets at the same time. So, you know, at the first you can concentrate on one market, but I don't suggest you stay there forever after you get some deals. I would try to expand to many markets at the same time. Right now, I'm in about 8 different states, in about 40 different
Wow.
counties. So,
There you have it, guys.
yeah,
40 different counties. So, Ray, I
yeah.
mean, I'm still going to drill on this a little bit. You know, we have people who are, getting their feet wet. Maybe they've gotten one deal in that county and they still haven't mastered that county. What would you suggest then? And
Uh,
they're still not getting any deals after several months.
Okay, so there might be something wrong. The first of all might be the market selection. So what I would suggest is you go on Zillow and see that county and see how many sold in the last 3 months. I would not suggest you go to any markets that sold for less than 40 properties, only land. I'm talking about land. So
Right.
if it is less than 40 sold land in the entire county, you know that's probably a bad area to go into, right? So if you choose the market right, and then it comes down to your offer price. So you don't want to offer way too high, you don't want to offer way too low, so you want to offer about the middle part. And a lot of people teaching about 20%, I think that's way too low, and I don't know what market they're into. Maybe a very cheap market. 20% and 40% probably won't make a difference, but I would suggest you do go to those major market surrounding area. Just offer 40 to 55%. That's what I find is really useful for me. So
I know you're enjoying the show episode so far, but I wanted to let you know that if you are looking to build or scale a serious land business, perhaps a 6-figure second income or eventually a 7-figure land investing empire, Travis King's company, Land Investing Mastery, has the most current and innovative education in the space. Travis goes beyond the traditional microflip that you might be familiar with and shows you how to 10x your deal size and execute on strategies like subdividing, portfolio takedowns, land sniping. We're talking 6-figure per flip strategies. If you're getting your education from someone who isn't actively investing, you're more than likely going to hit some plateaus as you try to scale. If you want to learn how to avoid the saturated red ocean markets, skip over the small stuff, and learn how to become a boss land investor, then Travis is your guy. Travis has completed nearly 1,000 coaching calls in the last 2 years that I've known him, and he has his pulse on the market. He will tell you, though, Land Investing Mastery is not a factory. They're a boutique agency built on transformational, life-changing results. You see, I'm in a really unique position, and I really mean what I've just said above. In fact, I get to speak to a lot of investors from all sorts of different education, training, coaching background out there, and I get a very good view of things from all the one-on-one demo calls that I've done. Now, you may want some social proof. Head over to pebblerei.com/Travis and check out Travis's wall of love on his testimonial page. And while you're there, you can also learn more about Travis's training programs and his exclusive mastermind. So simply head over to www.pebblerei.com/Travis for more information. I hope you guys are writing this down. Ray is literally dropping gems on this episode here. He has no holding back here, sort of sharing. That was my next question. You mean, so how much do you offer? Now, here's the thing. You have data around the area, and you're saying 40 to 50% right out of the gate there. And these are specifically for infill lots. Now, when you're sort of making offers, do you typically approach them with a conversation first that you're interested in purchasing land, or are you coming right out of the gate with an offer for them?
yeah, I send them a direct mail, and that's an offer letter, 2 pages. So one page, the first page is talking about who I am, what my company is, what I do. And the second page is the purchase agreement, or people call it the contract, right? So we have the address of the land, I have the name, and I have the lines that you can fill it up. They can even sign it, and it's legally bound. If they want to sell, they can sign that and kind of
Yeah.
send it to the title company to close it. Right?
I'm
Yeah.
interested in that first page. You talk a lot. You mentioned here, you talk about your company. Do you spend quite a bit of time on that first page talking about yourself and the company?
I never talk about myself because I talk about them, right? It's just the same with friends and families. If you find a guy always talking about himself, you probably will walk away, right? So you always want to talk about them. What's going on with their life? Why do they want to sell their land? And what if they don't sell the land? What if they sell? What I get, are they going to use the money for? Right? So that's part of the
Right.
negotiation. So you try to be friends with them after they call back. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, here's one thing that we talked about before hopping on this show is you work. Well, I'll let you say it. How many hours a day do you typically spend on land?
Very minimum, about 2 to 3 hours a day on the land business. So right now I have a coaching business that take me a lot of time, but for as far as land, not very much because of that offer letter. We send those offer letter. I call them the little armies, right? They kill all the non-motivated sellers, right? So all those motivated sellers, they will call you back, and the rest you already killed them, right? So with your offer letter, so you save a lot of
That
time.
is that. I think you're gonna have a lot of people thinking, "Come on, Ray, really? 2 to 3 hours a day,
Yeah,
one VA, which you're paying more less than minimum, and you've racked in about almost a mil in the last
yeah,
12 months.
yeah,
Ray,
yeah,
can this get any better? This is unbelievable." Which is awesome. I'm not saying anything negative here at all, but that's really really cool to hear. There's a lot of naysayers. I wouldn't say naysayers, but a lot of people who are struggling in the areas they're working. Clearly, you working out of 40 counties, you really spread yourself out there to look for properties. So I
Mhm.
imagine you spend a lot of time actually looking at data, looking at area, and doing your research. Then,
Not too much. I have a method that you can do market selection in under 5 minutes. So I'm
oh gosh,
gonna share another secret of mine. You just go to ListSource. I mean, have you heard about ListSource, right? And
yes.
yeah, ListSource is a list company, and it has all the data for the entire states for all the real estate data. And we just go in there and look at the last 3 months sold. And you can there's a drop down. You can choose the whole United States, and you can see in the data before you actually buy the thing. You can see exactly which county sold land the most, and you can try to see that, verify that with Zillow and Ref, and after that, and basically you can just see right away uh, the number of sold in the each county you want, right?
Now,
So
does
that's
your VA sort of do most of this for you, and then he compiles it for you afterwards, or?
uh, I can do that in under 5 minutes, so I don't need him. So that's easy, right? So
so so you do the research, you do the quick research. Your VA then goes in and gets the offers together, the typical letter that you send out,
yeah,
and easy peasy out it goes then.
yeah. So uh, the reason why I spend a lot less time because I don't need to sell them. The realtor does. So
Yeah.
that's a game changer. After I started to do bigger deals, you heard people saying the bigger deals take as much time as the small deals. It's actually partially true because bigger deals actually take less time than smaller deals
Right.
because you have the realtor involved, they sell it for you, and the small deals you have to really market yourself, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. Got you. Ray, I'm going to ask you a question that might trigger some people. I'm not sure. I'm a little bit scared to do this, but we spoke about it before this call. You're not born in America. You have an accent.
yeah,
My parents came I believe you're originally from China. Am I correct?
yes,
And so were my parents. And I've heard this before, and people have asked me this. People with different backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds, an accent. This is a real thing that I get asked, and I hope nobody takes
mm,
this to offense, and I hope you certainly don't take this to offense or anything like that. But
yeah.
does that I mean, has that ever affected anything? Has that because I've literally had people who've asked me that.
Hmm. I think that's a concern in their mind. That might be they have self doubts or kind of self doubts conversation between themselves, right?
Yeah,
What I can say is I have done deals, hundreds of deals on land. I
yeah,
spoke to many people every single day.
yeah.
There is not a seller that tell me, "Hey Ray, you have this thick accent.
Yep.
I don't even understand." Sometimes I joke about it. I tell the seller,
Love it.
if you don't understand my English, that's fine. I'll speak Chinese to you, right? So, so, so they they laugh. I mean,
Yeah.
so it's not about what accent you have. It's about
Yep.
really about interaction, and you care about them more than a deal, so they will respond nicely, I guess.
You heard it from Ray himself, who's done so many deals. And I've had people who've asked me this because they've seen me on camera. I don't take offense. I mean, I'm totally cool with it, but it's a real question that gets asked. So I appreciate you being so candid about that, and honestly, uh, being lighthearted about that as well, Ray. I know it's kind of an
Yeah,
awkward question, but I know this is in the minds of people who listen to stuff like this. But
definitely.
Ray, I was asking you before this. I was like, Ray, you've got quite the setup in the background. Can you share with us what's going on here? If for those of you guys who aren't watching this, make sure you head over to YouTube. I see
Yeah,
a DSLR on a spiffy looking tripod. He's got a screen. He's got a board on the left side there.
definitely.
What are you cooking up there?
I'm just pursuing my model career, so just kidding. Yeah, so I'm actually recording some modules for my course, and right now I'm doing one-on-one coaching, but I have like 20 students right now, so it kind of
Wow.
overwhelm me. I want to help more people, right? And there are people who need
Yeah.
more, so I think the recording modules will help more people. That's what I'm doing right now.
Ray, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, clearly you know what you're doing, and you have a very specific approach to the way you're doing land. What's the best way if you're open to sharing your information? What's the best way
Definitely.
people can reach out to you and maybe even learn a little bit more about the modules that you're creating?
Definitely. So you can add me on on Instagram. My tag there is virtual flip land. One word. VIRTUAL. Virtual flip land.
Got you. So
Yeah.
that's the best way they can find you. And that means I have to add you on Instagram. I don't think we're Instagram friends yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, great. All right. So they can reach you on Virtual Flip Land. Is that what you're focusing a lot more on? Like just working virtually and being away from your properties?
Absolutely. I have sold hundreds of land. I have never been to any land I sold. So I try to do that because, like you said, you are in Canada and your partner is in South Korea, maybe watching the football, right? Or soccer.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and so that's how we decide we want our style to be like that, right? That's kind of freedom. You can live wherever you want. I went to Bahamas with my wife. We did 2 deals there, so you can do this virtually anywhere. And especially with the program you guys created, Pebble is awesome. I mean, it's just so good.
I
um
appreciate that,
yeah.
Ray. I appreciate
Yeah,
that. And there's a lot of people that don't realize that are doing this virtually, which is really cool to see. Some people are backpacking through the jungles, and literally, I know people, and I've asked them to come on the podcast, and I get it. Not everybody wants to come onto the show to share what they're doing, and totally respect that. But yeah, it's a real thing. Literally, some people literally live in jungles in Indonesia or somewhere out in Southeast Asia or wherever it might be, and traveling the world and doing land at the same time. So, Ray, as you sort of start developing your program with sort of virtual flip land, we'd love to hear more about that. We'd love to keep in touch with you. And Ray, is there any? I mean, I feel like we've blown through these few minutes here, and I try to keep these really concise, and you've just been like dropping bombs after bombs of knowledge here. But Ray, is there anything? I feel like I shouldn't even be asking you this, but is there anything else you can sort of leave with our listeners here any sort of tips or secret sauces you might have here with our
Yeah.
listeners?
There's one thing I really want to emphasize, which is focus, right? And I have a potential client call me, and he said, "I'm trying to do this wholesaling houses thing, and I come across your interview. I want to do land as well." And I told him this. I told him in the wrong way. I said, "I cannot take you as a student because you try to do two things at the same time." But I say it very unnicely. That was my fault. But what I meant was good. I tried to tell him, you can only focus on one thing.
Mhm.
Don't try to do two things at the same time. I mean, if you already have a very good running business like you have Pebble, right? And then you can do land on the side. That's fine
Mhm.
because your Pebble is working well, right? But
Mhm.
if you try
Mhm.
to do two things and start two things at the same time, you're probably not gonna make it. I did the same mistake myself. So
Actually, let me have a follow-up question for that. There's a lot of people who are literally getting started and they're choosing one or the other. So,
right.
which one should they choose if they're looking at wholesale houses and land?
No, that's easiest question I can answer. So I tell my clients this sentence, right? I said, if you can do a house deal, land is a no brainer. It's a piece of cake. If you cannot do a land deal and you try to go into houses, you're gonna make it. Not gonna make it, right? So that's easy. A land is houses 10 years ago. Right now is the time, right? I mean, try to jump
I
ahead
love
like
that.
10 years later. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. With houses, there's definitely a lot more complications. Ray, I just want to express my gratefulness for you to, you know, nobody knows this, but I saw Ray did a show with Joe McCall, a great friend of ours, and I messaged. I think I left a comment about it, and Ray reached out, and he was just so open to coming to share, and it's that kind of sort of approach. And if you hear a lot of my guests, they're the ones who are that are doing well. They're always the ones that are sort of giving to the community. So I want to say thank you for that, all that you've shared on this show. We're very grateful for that. I know some of this information some people do not like sharing, so thank
yeah,
you again. And people know where to reach you at. That's at Virtual Flip Land on
Instagram.
Instagram, and we're also going to become friends on Instagram now. But Ray, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Jesse. Thank you.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye. Before you stop this episode or hit the next episode, I want to personally thank you for listening to this episode of the Land Investing Business Secrets podcast by Pebble. If you found this helpful, we'd greatly appreciate any awesome reviews and ratings on whichever platform you are listening to this on. And if you have 2 minutes and wanted to step it up even more and help others, feel free to share this in other Facebook groups or pages or any communities, giving others a heads up of the Land Investing Business Secrets podcast or the specific episode that may help them on their land investing journey. Once again, thanks so much for listening, and catch you on our next episode.